This week, a ton of heavy hitters opened the 2025 season, but majority of the action took place at one meeting, the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix out in Boston. And it's here, on the Beyond the Records podcast, three of our favourite Olympic gold medalists decided to make some predictions on how fast they thought they'd run.
Let's get into it. Rai, event, prediction.
I'm running the 300 this weekend. Say under 32.5.
Don't be one of those guys that,
It's February 1st,
I'm just
bro.
out here, break out the rust buster. Nah, bro. You are Olympic champion.
31.7.
There we go. There we go. Noah Lyles.
I'm PR.
So
I'm PR. I'm trying to run 6'3".
Smash the
I'm
under.
be serious. I'm trying to run 6'3".
I'll train it.
Well, it was pretty cold. Grant Holloway coming
okay.
in. What record?
Not tomorrow.
I think you run 7'3" tomorrow.
Yeah. 7'3" though, but 7'3" what?
I'm gonna say 7'3". Under 7'3'5".
So, just how well do professionals know their own body? Kicking it off with Rai Benjamin would take on the 300 metres, Matthew Bowling and Vernon Norwood. So up against two 400 metre flat specialists, he'd run surprisingly smooth, only really tightening in the last 50 metres, having to work a little bit for the win.
Side by side with 50 metres to go, Rai Benjamin does come down the curve nicely.
But the close-up cam does show how composed he was. 32.21 seconds, a new PR, and under his conservative prediction, but well off from the 31.7 he was peer pressured into saying.
31.7.
That's why you never give in to peer pressure. Next on the chopping block was Grant Holloway, champion of everything short hurdle related, but get this, if he wins this race, he extends his 60 metre hurdle winning streak to 11 years.
First hurdle, Cunningham clattered it and is out. Holloway coming through with Crittenden in pursuit.
And he makes it look easy. You don't win for 11 years straight without being comically better than everyone else. But 7.42 seconds? Not really 7:35, is it? But he does seem to be battling with motivation a bit.
I've been doing this for so long. I accomplished all my goals. So now it's just about motivating the youth and then continue just to build whatever I got to do.
And lastly, Noah Lyles.
I'm PR. I'm PR. I'm trying to run 6'3".
For some perspective, a sub 7.4 clocking would put him in the top 3 on the all-time leaderboard. And we know for a fact Noah's mouth runs faster than his legs. But while time and time again he doesn't hit the times he predicts, he does almost always win the race.
It's a fast start from Trayvon Bromwell and from Terence Jones. Noah Lyles driving hard here in the middle. It is going to be a win for Noah Lyles.
6.52 seconds after a hard-fought start, comfortably beating out Terence Jones in second, and quite frankly walking Bromwell and Jacobs. It wasn't even nearly close to his 6.3 prediction. It wasn't even the fastest 60 metre this week. But Noah does consistently beat the world's best when he's lined up against them.
And my first job is to make sure everybody knows I'll go everywhere and I'm going to win because I'm the world's fastest man.
What else could you call him? So what did we learn from this quick experiment? Be bold, have ambitious goals, and just because you didn't meet them this time doesn't mean you can't be happy. That and pro athletes have no idea what the hell they're about to run. Now back to the regularly scheduled programming. There was one lone world record at this meet, by none other than Quincy Wilson. He just couldn't help himself. It only took him 1 month into 2025 before breaking another youth world record, running a pretty even race before outright crushing Jareem Richards, who came 4th at last year's Olympics, around the final bend.
To challenge Nene, and it's Quincy Wilson who is setting his own tone for 2025, coming through in 45.66. Wow.
A seemingly pedestrian time after last season, but it's actually a pretty hefty under 18 indoor world record. In all honesty, sprinting's been alright, average times, the usual fellas winning, just fun to see the world's best out and about again. But distance running, they don't give a fuck. The men's 1500 fielded world champions and Olympians like Jake Whiteman, who withdrew last second, Grant Fisher, Graham Blanks, Ollie Hoare, Stuart McSwain, yet showing clear dominance was none of them. Instead, Josh Hoey, who broke the North American 1000 metre record last week, a pretty menial record to be fair. But this race backed up that time, taking the lead from halfway and simply not letting up the rest of the race against a field that in theory should have outclassed him. And I really mean that.
In the double Olympic bronze medalist here, Grant Fisher is still winding up some sort of challenge, but Hoey has a response and keeps him at bay. Josh Hoey.
Because this 3:33 whips his outdoor PR by 5 seconds. And then it's an indoor PR by 15 seconds. He also runs a little bit like Quincy Wilson. While the women's 3K would post a similar narrative. The focus would be a matchup between Georgia Bell and Jessica Hull, last year's 1500 metre Olympic silver and bronze medalist. So while Hull ended up withdrawing late, Bell would spend most of the race sitting at the back of the leading pack, before fading away with 4 laps to go. And that's when the race between Cranny and Courtney-Bryant would commence.
Balby's got plenty to do as they take the bell. Melissa Courtney-Bryant starting to move up and make a challenge, and it's going to be moving towards a massive personal best here as well.
8:28, an 8-second personal best to take a win against another class field, followed by Cranny in a PR, and Parker Velby in third, making her pro debut with a personal best as well. The men's 3K also posted a quick race, but somehow 7:30 wasn't the quickest race this week. And that's because even distance running outside of the New Balance Grand Prix was just kicking ass. At the BU Terrier Classic, we'd see the third fastest indoor mile ever by a college student. From the gun, the race would be majority led by professionals Robert Farkin and Adam Falk, going through halfway in 1:54 flat, but with 3 laps to go, UNC's Ethan Strand in 4th place puts on a killer 27-second lap to latch onto the leaders. But come the bell lap, he would smell weakness, whipping wide for the lead and coming home to make history.
Ethan Strand blowing this one away. The winner from North Carolina, 3:48.
His PR before this race was 3:57, so this time is a 9-second PR, number 3 all-time indoors, an NCAA record by 2 entire seconds previously held by Cooper Tier, and less than a second away from the indoor American record. You can't kick off a season much better than that. Now, how often do you see a 15-year-old win a national title? And especially in athletics of all sports. Because this weekend, 15-year-old Sam Ruthe, who ran a 4:01 mile last week, would take out the senior national 3K title in New Zealand. Yes, New Zealand is relatively small, but we're still a country of 5+ million people. That's still more people than half of the US states. And more than anything, it's the way he ran this race, showing again incredible race maturity, riding the back end of the front pack, simply hiding and drafting off his senior compatriots. Then pretty much like Ethan Strand, kicking wide on the bell lap and making his final move around the last bend, kicking his way to another age grade world record of 7 minutes, 52.18 seconds.
For a senior national title at the age of 15, what are we seeing here tonight at Hastings? He goes sub-8, he takes the national title.
A sub-8 3K at 15 years old is wild. It's also a 10-second improvement on his personal best, which was the previous world record, and he's now by far the youngest ever athlete in New Zealand to take home a national title, by 2 years. Yet the quickest 3K this week went to George Mills, cracking Josh Kerr's British 3K indoor record by 3 entire seconds. You wouldn't see Ingebrigtsen getting whipped by his countrymen like that.
George Mills, 7:27.9. Wow!
By far the fastest time this week, and number 9 on the all-time indoor list. Now, I want you to think back. Remember when I said Noah didn't run the fastest 60 meter this week? Well, that again goes to Lachlan Kennedy. Quick rehash, last video we saw there was still a lot of discourse about his 6:43, and this weekend, we got a pretty neutral conclusion to the argument. At the Australian Short Track Championships this weekend, he'd convincingly take home his crown. 6.51 seconds, a time that both gives credit and discredits the speculation around his 6:43. But hey, that's more consistency than Kashane Thompson, and faster than Lyles this weekend, ignore the wind. Very keen to continue following this story, and seeing him run against the world's best at World Indoors. And to finish the week, let's head to the field. Pole vault popped off. Chris Nilsen opened his 2025 with a Duplantis level debut, jumping over 6 meters to start the year. I can count on 2 fingers how many jumpers have done that previously. I'm not going to kid myself and say he's going to challenge Duplantis, but that is a historic level opener nonetheless. Also, Kingship by Lavillenie, previous world record holder and mentor to Armand Duplantis, went over 580 at age 38. Dude's been vaulting at the top level for 20 years and he's still kicking it. Speaking of high bars though, high jump world lead update. Israeli athlete Jonathan Kapitolnik goes over 231. He's recently only joined the senior ranks, so a keen up and comer to keep an eye on. And in the women's, Maria Zodzik, a Polish jumper, clears 198, a new PB to open her season.
Yes!
Last year she did something similar, and then kind of fell off pretty hard. I'm personally very interested to see if she can hold it this time. And then Anthea Charlton went 698 in the women's long jump. The world lead for 2025 so far, but the second farthest jump indoor in NCAA history. Also, does the name ring a bell? This is Devon Charlton, the 60 meter hurdle world record holder's youngest sister. And lastly, the first featured throw of the year is Jessica Schilder throwing 19.85 meters for a women's shot put world lead.
C'est loin pour Jessica Schilder. 19,85 m, meilleure performance mondiale de l'année.
And that's the week. Sprinters are rust busting, throwers don't really get in indoors to be fair, but distance runners are carrying the sport right now. Excited for next week as the results just keep getting more and more delectable. See you next time.